Good afternoon, everyone. And Tare Zami Pe, after Doctor and Mr. Rao. Obviously, pretty much the platform is set, right from spirituality. And I started with saying Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. I was thinking in between, is there something or not? And there's nothing. So, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh just touches each other. So why I said I was thinking if there is something in between or not. There is a reason for that. The reason is that while we can look at a spirituality, which takes us to sense of self-actualization and all of that, but we also need to be on the ground because at the end of the day, what matters is that, we would need to take our families, take care of them. But in between, there is something called a thought-provoking as well. And that's what I'm trying to attend today for all of you. So for example, we talk about all of our distributors sitting in this room. We know the very fact that there are two stories which one can see through. One story is that if I look at the unicorns, I'm talking about some 29 lakh crores. 29 lakh crores is what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, there are 111 unicorns managing currently an asset to the tune of 29 lakh crores. The other story tells me that our own industry, recently which has crossed 50 lakh crores, has got some 122 lakh, MFDs, but we are missing on seeing too many unicorns. So this is where I'm trying to provoke some thoughts for all of you. Why is it a case, such a big industry, so many advisors, so much of assets to look after, yet we are missing seeing too many unicorns amongst us? So while this thought came in, what we did, there's nothing called a science. You can't have a science to all of this. But can there be something which can still be left for all of you to ponder upon? And I figured out some 8 odd tailwinds. And if we go on them one by one, we probably will find some answers to this question. So basically, today's next 15 odd minutes, I'm going to talking about how can we cement our journey to become one of the unicorns by creating our own tailwinds. Let's go into it. In the year 1994, there were two gentlemen called Neeraj Bhai and Jignesh Bhai. Many of us have heard a lot about them. That resulted into emergence of a company called NJ. This company got incepted. Then they eventually started, moving into B2B model, and then we all know what it is. But what did they try doing? They attempted to attend the very first tailwind, which is nothing but be ahead of curve. That time, when everybody was just thinking about various other aspects of the business, these two gentlemen trying to be ahead of curve and thought of creating a B2B model, which eventually became NJ, and today we all know to what level have they taken it to, and obviously that has led to other B2B models also which have emerged. What have they done? And what can we do? Now here is my answer to the first tailwind. Can we be pace up? Can we be proactively assess and capture emerging opportunities while upskilling ourselves? Well, I would say mutual funds we all have seen, alpha creations, great, but can there be an opportunity in a smart beta? Can there be an opportunity in passives? Can there be an opportunity in alternate assets? Now this is what I call having a pace-up approach. Now this is where each one of you would need to not only think, but start upskilling yourself for a better tomorrow, because the tomorrow is changing very fast. And what it is leading to is getting into a competitive zone, and a Darwin's theory, the theory of being fittest to survive, is going to imply. And hence, pace up is something don't be ignorant to as a tailwind 1. Let's look at a tailwind 2. Now, 1 and 1 not necessarily need to be 2. Can 1 and 1 also be 11? What am I talking about? I'm talking about, can we, for a change, start collaborating amongst us rather than competing amongst us? You'll be surprised to know that there are many large houses, like a banks, HDFC, they did tie with a Paytm. ICICI Bank had done a tie-up. So they all realized that there is a core competency that I do have, and there is a core competency where I can borrow or align or collaborate so as to ensure that two of us together get the desired result. Now, this is very, very critical for all of us. Rather than trying to compete, start collaborating by getting the like-minded people together and see to it how can we take an advantage or how can we build an edge by learning from each other's core competencies. Now, this is very critical because, as I said, the very first one, we are heading into a competitive world, and a collaboration is an answer to get an edge, to maneuver through that competitive world. Now let's look for a tailwind 3. How many of you actually have gone to Starbucks? Many of us, am I right? How many of you actually go to Starbucks? Be honest, huh? How many of you actually have gone to Starbucks to have a cup of coffee? Okay. Now let me extend it further. A Starbucks cup of coffee comes at $150. Example, I know it's much more than that. And a guy adjacent to Starbucks gives you coffee for $20. A filter coffee right from South India, amazing coffee. Would you still go to Starbucks for a coffee alone? No. Yes. But I will still go to Starbucks. You know why? I am not going to Starbucks just for a cup of coffee. Actually, I am going to Starbucks for an experience. If I need to invite Neil to a common place, or a Vikas to a common place, or Mr. Rao to a common place, I'll prefer to invite him to a Starbucks so that we can have a great talk. While talk is my primary motive, I have something to munch, और थोड़ा पैसा बचेगा तो कॉफी भी पी लेंगे. But Starbucks is known for coffee. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say to all of you, or rather leave a message for all of you is, create experience when you go and meet a client. Don't be a product pusher. Be a Starbucks. Get into the detailing. That's what is going to get you what I just said. Few of you said yes for coffee. I give an example, $20, $150, right from the South India. You said no more. Yet you landed up in Starbucks. Why? Because it wasn't a coffee. It was an experience. So it's very important to go beyond advisory, look for solutions, and what can come in only through curated knowledge. That's what is needed in the times of today. Let's go beyond. We are in a different world. There was a time when we are expected to have a cup of tea in the morning in the bed, because that's the way we would want to wake ourselves up. The world has transited, the world has moved on. Today we want our advisories in the bed. What am I saying? I'm saying basically the world is graduating to a palm. You would need to give solutions, everything on a palm. The new generation is not interested to visit your offices or even to meet you in person. What they need is to see you being more digital savvy. And by being digital savvy, he should be able to transact or inquire everything that can come in over the palm. Now, this is exactly what Zerodha did. There was an opportunity that Zerodha figured out, which is a discount broking, and they came up, and then we all know what Zerodha is today. Now, this is very critical to be digitally savvy and innovate, not necessarily in product, but for sure in the processes that you follow when you are engaging with your clients. Very critical tailwind for one to keep in mind, because that's the tailwind which is not only a need of an hour, but it's now getting as a compulsive approach for one to survive. The fifth tailwind I want to talk is turn risks into opportunity. How many of us know Oracle of Omaha? Who is he? Absolutely. He's a Warren Buffett. We all follow him, am I right? We all follow him, we look to him, look up to him. We look up to what he's saying, what is he doing. People do travel miles and miles to reach, hear him out, get a wisdom from him, come back, introspect. And at a time of introspection, then they figure it out. How do they need to build it up when they go and talk with their clients? Am I right? Each one of us does it. Do you know one big edge that this gentleman holds? He is the gentleman who looks at risk not as a risk, but he looks at risk as an opportunity. And how to turn it into an opportunity is where the skills are. We know the global crisis when it happened. We know the very fact of the mayhem. And as you all can see, the share price in 2008, 2011, the global financial crisis, the stock prices came down. He was the one who was actually buying rather than selling, because he could see a lot of value in those companies. It was one of those momentous opportunity to grab an asset which are available at a right price. And then what CAGR it all delivered later on is all shown to you all. Let's now move into our industry. Our industry has been through a massive transition. If I go back last 20, 25 odd years, what all has not happened? Your brokerages came down, direct plans got introduced, so on and so forth. And believe you me, every time one disruption came in, we took all our ammunitions out of our armory to go and challenge, and said this would lead to end of our industry. Look at the data. And today we are celebrating 50 lakh crores. And mind it, 50 lakh crores, and I'm doing some work on retirement. And one data which came into my knowledge, and it was very surprising, because I was actually doing some comparison with India with a global economy like a China, Japan, Singapore, US, and trying to figure out the asset distribution globally and how are we. And I was surprised. I said, man, what is it? At a 50 lakh crore we are celebrating, but we are still 7% penetrated to our household savings. Globally, US is beyond 35, 40. So even if we just double or a triple, which is to go to 14 to 20 odd percent, this industry actually can go to 150 lakh crores. And we are talking about risks. There is a huge opportunity for one to look at. And the disruptions are not disruptions, but these are actually removing the bottlenecks. And we all have seen how have they really fared if I would go back 2 decades and could see the entire transition right from removing the entry load to into the introduction of a direct plan, how the industry actually has progressed. We all know Amazon, am I right? We all know Amazon. We feel it's a great company, but you know what? They also have committed mistakes. They have committed enough mistakes during their journey. Beauty is not about committing mistake. The beauty is learn from your mistake and ensure that you do not redo it. That's important. What has Amazon done? They waited, they spent dollars into dollars to create a Fire phone, which was a 3D-enabled smartphone. Didn't do well at all. They put in huge money, didn't do well. Then they launched Crucible video game. Again flopped. Look at the kind of hit or a drop in the market cap that they had to see during those phases, during those periods. Does anybody have an idea what is the market cap of Amazon today? 1 trillion. Okay. Anyone else? 3 trillion. Okay. Bang on. Who is this gentleman? Yep. So close to you, sir. 1.65 trillion. They understood their mistake that they have committed. No shying away from acknowledging it. Learned from it. Moved on. They launched Amazon Prime. They saw Amazon Web Services. Became a super hit. And fine. Now, in our own world, if someone would say that I have spent a decade, 2 decades, or less than a decade, or even if I'm a new guy in the market, a fresh blood walking into the market, all of us have committed mistakes. Rather than shying away from a client and trying to put it under the wrap or under the carpet, it's better acknowledge it, be honest, accept, do a course correction, and stay put. I'm telling you, clients would love you. So I have personally, today I'm in asset management, but I have spent decent 14 to 15 years being one of you with Citibank, ABN, and a Royal Bank of Scotland. Being an advisor myself, managing large teams, I can only tell you one thing. In our business, only one word has a relevance. Rest all is a story. And that word is trust. You are not in the business of giving a test ride of a Merc or inviting a guy to take a floor plan of a palatial house. You are in a business of setting goals. Making a person believe that, yes, you are the man who is going to fulfill his desirable goals. That only would mean he has put in all his faith and trust in you. Don't let it break. The 2 gentlemen, I'm sure all of us know. I don't need to tell who these 2 gentlemen are. But there is a common, or there is one thing which is very unique about both of them. Both of them are leading to large houses. Pretty much the kind of compounding, if I could see, over a reasonably long time, they have delivered. They've done it very well. But the difference is, One is from a family tree, other one is not. Now, many of you, well, including me, with almost 26, 27 years of my career that I'm into, maybe have another 10 years with me. If I'm one of you, one of the things that bothers me is a succession planning. Am I right? Who's going to take over the business that I have created in the last 20 years, 30 years? My message to you all is, the successor has to be your own family man, is a myth. I travel across the country and I can quote you multiple examples where successions have been demonstrated by corporatizing the entire organization and letting the employees take the share of the company, run it up. I will take a back seat and the others will come on a forefront and take the company to the next level. Make them partners. This exactly was what is we can see over here. The Tata Group has seen the new heights, and the gentleman is not from Tata's. So that's important, that for one to look at. The other one is, never ever shy talking on imperatives. What is important, what needs to be spoken, please go and express. If we see, look at the kind of unclaimed amounts in the banks, or look at the property disputes. We go and talk about what? We go and talk about the goals. We go and talk about how can I create wealth for you. We go and talk about the funds. We go and talk about the asset allocation. But have we also spoken about the wills? How the will planning needs to be done? Have we really gone beyond? Have we actually thought that our job is only to create a portfolio and see to it delivers the desired result and the wealth get created? No, we also need to address all of these issues. Inheritance, family disputes. Are we actually qualified enough to ensure that the client's wealth, in the case of eventualities, are also getting distributed in the fashion which is what his thought process is? Have we spoken on those imperatives? It's very important not to turn blind eye to any of them. As I started saying, there is no science to it. You guys can challenge me to say, you thought of 8, we can talk of another 8. Yep, you all can. I am just saying that it's very critical to go beyond what we think is an advisory. Why? Because the world is transiting very fast, and we would need to not only pace up, we would need to not only harness and be collaborative, we would not only to look at opportunities wherever it is, we would not only need to learn from our mistakes, we would not only look at experiences and to go beyond products, we can't shy away from acknowledging technologies which are available. We'll have to talk on imperatives. We cannot shy away. And the most important thing, the best man to take care of my business has to be my son or my relative. Let's go beyond it. There are professionals who exactly know what is required for the business to flourish. On this note, I thank you all for being a patient listener and hearing it out. Thank you.